This is a game of discovery. And weirdness, but mainly discovery. First thing that happens, pre-compiling shaders. For 6 minutes! Fortunately, it only does it the first time you fire the game up, thank Christ. Is this a good time to mention I'm playing the Steam version on my laptop? I have no idea if the console version does this. I'm hoping not. This review took longer than I would have liked. Partly because I was enjoying the time off, but mainly because my capture software was acting up. It wasn't recording right. And I didn't discover this until after I'd been playing for a few hours. I thought it was the game at first, because, yeah, this game doesn't run all that well, which is amazing because the graphics are not great. Very pixely, which I don't mind, but at maximum settings, it runs terribly. 10 frames a second. 10 frames a second. I know I only have integrated graphics and 16 gig in my laptop, but come on. I had to turn all the options down to off to get it to run better, which made it look like shit. So I turned the global illumination back on, now it looks better, but it runs like shit. Eventually I lowered the resolution scaling to 60%, that seemed to get it running well. And just for comparison, Satisfactory took medium settings and 75% scaling to get it running well. This took bare minimum settings and 60%. And Satisfactory looks way better than this. How does this game even have graphics settings? Not only that, but because I was having issues with my own recording system, I tried using Steam's at one point, but the audio and video of Steam's recordings wouldn't sync up. So it was like for like 10-15 hours I couldn't get a clean recording. It's ridiculous.
Just get it open! Please!
Oh! This game is really badly optimized. You can make it run well, so long as you're not concerned with fidelity, and given the design you probably won't notice anyway, if I'm being honest. Can I talk about the game now? There is a tutorial. The guy taking you through it sounds as interested as I was. Jumping, crouching, stomping, bandaging. But the most useful thing it teaches you, in fact the only useful thing, is how to package furniture, move and place it, and plug it into a wall socket. You will need to know that. You can customize your character, which is saved independently of any game saves that you make. When starting the main game, you pick a job, which is basically a starting class. It gives you some initial skill boosts. And pick your traits. Picking negative traits give you bonus points to spend on more positive ones. Or you could just screw yourself over on purpose. As I said, this is a game of discovery. Discovering new items, inventions, areas, and the general weirdness of the place. You always start in the cafeteria of the office. The office is centrally located and has shortcuts to most other places. Well, actually, there are shortcuts everywhere, which are behind doors that are always inexplicably locked from the side you're not standing on. So you'll have to find alternate ways round. Get used to crawling through vents. Get used to the insane amount of loot everywhere. It's all too easy here to fill your pockets with what other games would call random junk. Nothing here is just junk. Everything is useful. You just have to pace yourself. Restrain your inclination to grab everything that isn't nailed down. Personally, I find that extremely hard to do. Almost every piece of furniture can potentially be packaged, moved and set up elsewhere. I say potentially because depending on your construction skill, you have a chance to break it for resources instead. Hey, at least you always get something out of it. There are enemies, but this isn't your normal game. You can engage in direct combat, but it's always very risky. You're explicitly not a soldier. You're a scientist. And you're supposed to, how that one guy put it that one time, science the shit out of this. It's a good job you're a fucking genius, because you'll have to craft almost all your own equipment yourself. Spears, shields, armour, crossbows, shotguns. Some stuff you will have to find. Pistols, radiation suits, that kind of thing. To build stuff, you'll need at least one base. The crafting bench is the centre of it, and periodically it will come under attack. Invaders will sometimes teleport in. Or attack from the outside. The crafting bench projects an anti-spawn field around itself, known as the Home Sweet Home buff. Placing several benches keeps a wider area safe, but only for as long as the bench or benches are powered. At night, the power outlets in the walls shut down, and you'll have to rely on batteries instead. Nighttime is no more dangerous than daytime, except the robots go on patrol, and you can't see where you're going most of the time.
About a few brewskis after work.
And all this means you have to site your base carefully. You can only use workstations if they're plugged into a wall socket and powered, limiting where you can put them. But here's something important the game doesn't tell you. If you have tech scraps in your inventory, you can stamp a reroute on a surface, extending the cable length. Cables only stretch so far, and at first I was unaware you could do this, so I was building lots of multi-strips instead. They take way more resources to make, so it was a really stupid way of doing it. Speaking of important things the game doesn't explain to you, you have a million survival gauges to keep track of. Well, okay, not a million, but it can feel like it's pestering you at times for attention. I generally think that if a game has any more than 3 survival gauges, it's pushing its luck with me. This has more than 3. This has health, stamina, hunger, thirst, sleep, toilet need, weight, equipment durability, battery charge, not to mention all the status effects you can suffer: bleeding, stinky, filthy, sprained ankle, broken leg, radiation tingle, spore infection, and all the crazy effects various bits of gear and items you can carry, equip, or eat. Is this game trying to outdo Metal Gear Solid 3? It's fucking succeeding! Certainly at first it can be a pain. Cooking meat in a pan limits your options. Get to cooking level 3 and you can start making soups. And those are an excellent way of restoring hunger and thirst in large amounts at the same time and without the radiation risk. In fact, there are several skill enhancements worth earning. I quite like throwing spears at electrified critters, much safer than poking them directly. Dirty water can be boiled in a pan to clean it. And couches can be slept on. Yeah, I missed the button prompt to sleep on the couch. For the first few hours, I was catnapping by sitting down. Alternate paths must be found to move around the facility because of the sheer number of doors locked from the other side. Sometimes the only way around will involve travelling into an antiverse. The various portals around the facility allow travel to other places. Some places are familiar, others not. But the important thing to know is resources respawn twice a week in the antiverses. Once you've picked up that stapler inside Gate, it won't come back. So the antiverses are the only way of farming most things. There are some vendors that will also trade with you for certain things you can't pick up anywhere else. You can even set up a base inside an antiverse. Just be aware that resources won't respawn while you're in it, and most antiverses can still be invaded by raids. And you will have to enter antiverses because they have unique resources you'll need to progress. And sometimes they'll be the only shortcut past those barricades and locked doors, of course. Make sure you examine and pick up everything. Yeah, I know I said don't pick up everything. What I mean is, the first time you pick up something, it's added to your ideas. Collect the right ideas and certain new inventions become available to unlock. So the more new things you pick up, the more advanced your stuff gets. Don't be afraid to grab stuff, search bins, check email attachments, slice and dice corpses. You never know what you might find. And if you need resources, frequently items and whole bits of furniture can be broken down into more basic items. Keyboards and phones break down to tech and plastic scrap. Tables break down to planks. Planks break down to paper. Paper can make scrap ammo. Apply this logic to an antiverse and it turns into a treasure trove. It's easy to forget as you explore. It's very easy to treat this like a straight up action game. You've got to remember that you always have traps as well.
Unknown subject, hold.
Combat has a distinctly melee feel to it. I say that because there are ranged weapons, but they require ammo that also has to be crafted. And your aim isn't great, forcing you to assess whether it's actually worth firing the shot versus the risk of closing the distance. Or hell, if it's even worth engaging in combat in the first place. You are supposed to be sciencing your way around problems after all. Radiation is a big issue. It's usually really fucking obvious when radiation is a severe hazard, but small radioactive sources, they can slip under your radar. Keeping a Geiger counter on your person is essential. You can scan the environment and even yourself. Radiation is the one thing the game doesn't automatically track for you. I'm trying not to show too much of this game because it's a game of discovery. That's really difficult when you're doing a review because obviously there are things like, where's the best place for a base? Where do I get that particular resource from? How the hell do I open that door? People have described this as a cross between Half-Life and Control. Well, I've played Control at least, and the office and containment blocks are eerily familiar. If anything, the weirdness of the various artifacts on display here are even stranger somehow. And because you can enter alternate places, it helps make the gate facility feel more expansive and varied than the Bureau of Control. Though Control looks more like humans have settled uneasily into an alien place, Gate is more conventional in its appearance. You do have to keep up with newly discovered equipment, which means poking your nose into every nook and cranny. Enemies are easily bested by the latest weapons and traps. So long as you remember you don't have to fight fair. You can melee a shotgun trooper, it's just not very healthy. Even just a handful of damage points can make all the difference. If you can look past the graphics and get it running smoothly, this is a damn good game. Adjust the settings until it runs well, and there's a lot to see and enjoy here. The characters, what there are okay, but the world building is top notch. Gate feels like it's on the brink of collapse, besieged by otherworldly forces. And you'll really feel the only reason it's all still holding together is you and a reel of duct tape. You can play through this with up to 6 people at a time. Sorry if that sounds like an afterthought, but I played through it on my own. Occasionally you may hit a roadblock, like for example, where do I get the repair materials for the synchrotron? Or how the hell do I kill that big bastard in containment? The answers are all there, you just have to look for them. They're in things like email attachments and those little hologram messages that are scattered all over the place. You're a scientist. Do your research. That's the name of the game. You're supposed to discover things, discover how to beat these things. Or you could just cheat and go online and look it up. Right, I think that will do for this video. What did you think of it? Leave a like or dislike down below. What do you think of Abiotic Factor? What's your opinion? Have you played the multiplayer? Is it any better or worse? How does it run on your system as well? Because it runs really badly on mine. Let me know in the comment section below. And for those of you who can't get enough of my dulcet tones, you can always subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, that's a separate thing. Or if you want to inflict my irritating persona on someone else, you can always share instead. See you next time.